So I really tried to avoid making this video. As most of you know, I already talked about Black women wearing bonnets in public a couple years ago when the topic came up. But I want to address some additional points that I think are important for Black women to understand. So as most of you probably know by now, the comedian Monique, she made a very friendly public service announcement to Black women on Instagram, and she urged them to stop wearing their bonnets and pajamas in public. And she did this because she constantly saw Black women wearing their sleepwear at the airport and other public places. And I don't agree with everything Monique says. I've had my criticism about her in the past, but I do agree with what she said about this. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why that is. And I'm going to address every argument and complaint that I see being made about this from Black women. I'm going to address the argument about respectability politics, policing other Black women, and more. Okay? Now, let me start off by stating the obvious. There is a difference between head wraps that are meant to be worn outside, hijabs, loungewear that is supposed to be worn outside. There is a difference between all of those things and bonnets. Bonnets are in the category of pajamas. They look like shower caps. They do not look like hats. They do not look like head wraps. So they cannot be compared to those, in my opinion. And for me personally, my decision not to wear sleepwear in public, it has nothing to do with the male gaze. It has nothing to do with looking good for men or for white people. Because a very popular rebuttal to this is, oh, well, if the Kardashians came out with a bonnet line tomorrow, then you guys wouldn't find a problem with it. If white people said it was okay, then you would think it was okay. Nope, not this Black woman. I don't like it. I don't like bonnets on white women in public. I don't like bonnets on Black women in public. I don't care about what any other race does. I will never find bonnets in public to be presentable. Now, with that said, to each his own, and I have absolutely no say in how other Black women present themselves. But in this video, I will be talking about how this relates to our image as a group. And let me also say this. I saw where Black men were posting pictures of themselves wearing bonnets to supposedly stand in solidarity with Black women who choose to wear bonnets in public. And the fact that some Black men are defending this, that tells us that it is a cultural thing and not a gender thing. Them defending Black women wearing bonnets is actually them defending themselves and their right to go out in public looking a mess. Do not fall for this, ladies. They are playing you. They are low-key mocking you for wearing bonnets in public. They're mocking you for how you look, like they always have. And I even think some of them are intentionally trying to make Black women look less desirable. It's kind of like those men who will try to keep women from wearing makeup or getting their hair done, or they'll try to keep them overweight so they won't attract a man who has more money than them. It's very sneaky what some of them are doing. And I saw that Ludacris, the rapper, I saw that he posted a picture of himself in a bonnet in solidarity with Black women who wear bonnets in public. But ask yourself, ladies, does his woman wear bonnets in public? Did he marry a woman who looked like one of those women in the airport photographed with their bonnets on? See, Black women, y'all gotta be real careful about people who do this. And this could be Black men, this could be white women, biracial women. You have to be careful and not allow them to encourage you as a Black woman to do something they would never do, or something that they would never encourage their daughter or their significant other to do. It's a very sneaky way of them trying to make you look bad and make themselves look better than you, or keep you at a certain position where you are perceived to be beneath them. It's the same way they'll put loud, unkempt Black women next to well-dressed, mild-mannered white women in the media. I talk about it all the time. It's a sneak diss, and Black women should not fall for this. Now, when it comes to the Black men who don't like bonnets and are trying to center themselves in this conversation, I see a lot of Black men chiming in on this, and they're using it as an opportunity to criticize the Black women that they didn't even want to begin with. It's just giving them a reason to, talk about us negatively. And I just feel like since it's okay for the Black community to constantly and very publicly criticize Black women, then the same should apply to Black men. Let's stop shaking in our boots as a community every time Black men are being criticized for how they look, for how they dress in public, or how they behave in public. If Black women can be criticized so frequently, stop crying so much when Black men are held accountable. Since we gotta suck it up and take our criticism, then stop being sensitive when it's your turn. That's all I'm saying. Now, let's talk about the very popular respectability politics argument. This came up quite often during this conversation, and I saw a lot of Black women reminding Monique that despite the way she presents herself, she was still discriminated against by Netflix. So that means that the respectability politics she's trying to force on other Black people did not work for her, and that means respectability politics do not work at all. And what annoys me about this argument is that it's just too binary. I'm sure there were times that Monique presented herself a certain way and it was advantageous to her, but other times it wasn't. And this is not me saying that you'll always be treated fairly or nicely if you present yourself a certain way in front of white people. I'm not even saying it's right for other people, regardless of race, to treat you good or bad based on what you wear. But if we're honest with ourselves, we all do that. Even the women who got mad at Monique, we all have an idea of what we consider to be presentable when we look at other women, when we look at men. There are men that we will not give the time of day if their shoes look a certain way, if they smell a certain way. And I just think that both conversations need to be had. I do think it's important to make sure that we're not encouraging Black women to solely rely on respectability politics, but I also don't believe in indirectly telling them to disregard their appearance and not put effort into their presentation before they go out in public because of the fear that it won't benefit them in any way when there's a possibility that it will. I don't believe in throwing the baby out with the bathwater is what I'm saying. And for the people who make the argument that women like me or Monique are contributing to the violence toward other Black people with respectability politics, first of all, I find this argument to be a little bit disingenuous, and I really think it's meant to trigger Black women and incite an emotional response from us. And two, Monique did not say that wearing your natural hair or anything else inherent to Blackness out in public was inappropriate. She said that wearing pajamas out in public is inappropriate. So you can't really charge Monique for taking a page from the oppressor's handbook when what she's condemning is not inherent to Blackness. And if wearing bonnets and pajamas in public are a part of Black culture, then I would argue that it's a part of Black culture that we need to get rid of. Yeah, I said it. Not everything needs to stay. And I think we should make a conscious effort to stop associating certain things with being Black. Wearing pajamas out in public is not a Black people thing. It's a tacky people thing. And it's tacky no matter what race of people do it. And wait, I know what the next argument's going to be. The next argument is going to be, well, Chrissie, what's tacky? And who told you pajamas are tacky? White people told you that. It's a social construct. It's not real. And so then it develops into a situation where all of a sudden we can't define anything or set any kind of standards. Now things don't mean what they mean. There's no definitions. Anything can mean anything. Now the concept of outside clothes is Eurocentric and everything is a social construct. And okay, fine. Our idea of being presentable is Eurocentric. It's a social construct. It's anti-Black. Let's go with that. But if we go with that, ladies, we can't stop there. No. Let's keep going. The Eurocentric inspired hair weave that a lot of y'all love, that's anti-Black as well, ladies. So why is that okay? Your lace fronts are rooted in anti-Blackness, ladies. Your glued down baby hairs are rooted in anti-Blackness. So are we only going to mention anti-Blackness when it fits your narrative? Or are we going to be honest and talk about it all? Because there's a lot of cherry picking going on, ladies. And this goes for classism and elitism as well. When we start talking about the hierarchy and academia and how Black women are the most educated, being elitist and classist, it's okay then. Anti-Blackness and classism is only an issue when it comes to things a lot of you don't like. This is one of my biggest issues with the educated Black feminists or SJWs. Not all of you, but the ones who come after us about supporting the Black woman in luxury movement or the femininity and hypergamy spaces. They are some of the most classist and elitist Black women around. Yet they're policing our spaces and labeling them elitist and anti-Black. And somehow Black women understand how having an education, being well-read, being well-spoken, they understand how that can give you an advantage or benefit you in society. But y'all can't seem to understand, or you don't want to admit, that how you present yourself in public can also benefit you and put you at an advantage. You can't deny that part and start making it about racism, white supremacy, because you want to go outside in your bonnet. And another thing I think some Black women are being disingenuous about is this argument they're making about poverty being the reason Black women wear bonnets because they don't have the resources. And listen, there is some truth to that. When you are in poverty and your basic needs are not being met, you don't know where your next meal is coming from, you are barely making it, and you are just trying to survive. A lot of times you don't have the motivation to put effort into your appearance. Sometimes you are suffering from depression or other mental illness, and yeah, sometimes you just don't feel like getting it together. So yeah, that is definitely a thing. But some of you are also using impoverished women as a scapegoat, and honestly, that's disgusting. If that is not your situation, then it's not right to try to use that as an excuse. And Monique, she obviously was not talking about poor Black women who are walking around the projects or to the neighborhood dollar store with bonnets on and dirty house shoes on, or the women with alopecia who, you know, don't have anything but a bonnet to put on their heads, or the women who are suffering from medical issues, or the women who don't know any better or can't afford to do any better. She's obviously talking about the Black women who know better and who can do better. And again, it seems like the only time y'all want to care about offending poor people is when it's a standard that you don't want to live up to. And look, I grew up in the hood. Most people there, they didn't have a lot of money, but they still didn't have to wear their pajamas outside because let's be real, poverty or not, most Black people, we know how to scrounge up enough money to put on our Sunday's best for church. We know how to lay those edges for the club. I see you got your nails done when you handed me my Southwest avocado salad at Wendy's. Sometimes y'all nails be looking better than mine. And you at Wendy's. Y'all got the flight booked. You going on vacation. But you wearing bonnets and pajamas at the airport because of poverty and lack of money. Stop it, ladies. Stop. The math ain't mathing. I honestly have more respect for the Black women who just say they wear bonnets outside of the house because they want to, or because they don't want to mess up their hair. Those are better excuses. But the poverty excuse, that's not a good excuse. For most of us, it's not. And I will say this, being that I used to work for an airline, I know firsthand that all races go to the airport looking a mess. So it's not just a Black woman thing. People want to be as comfortable as possible while they're flying. So yeah, I see a lot of underdressed people at the airport, but the bonnets, that's something that Black women wear the most in public. And to me, that's not much different from a white woman wearing rollers and pajamas in public. And I'm going to see them as looking just as underdressed and unpresentable. Like, it doesn't change depending on race for me. And I think it should also be noted that those women are criticized in their community. They're called white trash. They're called trailer park trash by other white people. So this kind of criticism is also not exclusive to Black women in the Black community. Now, what I will say is that to my knowledge, a white female celebrity has never come out to condemn the white women who wear rollers and pajamas in public, but it's also not something that they jump up to defend. They're not going to defend who they consider as quote unquote trailer trash or the trailer trash aesthetic, if you will, right? And no, Black women, a white woman wearing a messy bun is not the same as a Black woman wearing a bonnet. A white woman wearing rollers would be equivalent to the bonnet, in my opinion. And yes, it is just as tacky. And as someone who worked for an airline, you just don't know who you're going to meet at the airport. So in my opinion, looking your best can benefit you, especially as a hypergamous-minded woman, okay? Always look pretty, like I said before, even when comfortable, especially if hypergamy is your goal, because it can help you in achieving it. There are ways to be comfortable and cute, ladies. And hey, if that's not your goal, then fine. I'm talking to the women it applies to. And I also want to address the number one statement that I keep seeing in this recent conversation about bonnets, and that is, I don't wear my bonnet outside, but what another Black woman wears on her head, that is not my business. So Monique, you need to mind your business. You need to leave Black women alone. Black women are tired of being criticized. And look, ladies, I agree. Black women are constantly being criticized for our appearance and just about everything we do. And it's extremely annoying and it is tiring. So I get it. But several things can be true at once, ladies. The sleepwear in public, it has gotten out of hand. And we do need to be able to notice the difference between somebody negatively criticizing us and trying to help us win. I, nor Monique, can tell any Black woman what to do. But what I can tell you is that there is a consequence when a critical mass of women are defending wearing sleepwear in public. It does not help your case, ladies, to publicly defend that if you wish for the collective image of Black women to improve. Because how you look when you walk out of the house and what you defend as a group of women is connected to how you are perceived, whether you like it or not. you are unintentionally adding to the poor representation of Black women that you complain about. And a lot of y'all don't want to hear that, and you're going to try to argue me down about it, but that won't make it any less true. And this is not to say that you always have to look snatched because, you're representing other Black women. That is totally unrealistic. And I do understand that every Black woman should not have to carry the responsibility of making the entire group look good. But if you opt out of that responsibility because it's, quote unquote, too burdensome, then don't complain when your collective imagery does not improve. And don't get mad when another Black woman does something you don't like. Because the same ones who talking about stop policing Black women, y'all be policing us too. Black women, we stay embarrassed, but we simultaneously fight to be embarrassing. Like, it is just the craziest thing. It really is. And okay, mind your business. We got to mind our business. But where does that cut off, ladies? Because we're always talking about moving as a unit for the better image of the group when it comes to other things. But with this, it's mind your business and I don't care what anyone thinks of me and I'm not trying to impress anyone. And that's another thing. Like, do you really not care what people think? Are you really not trying to impress anyone? If you don't care what people think, why cover up your hair in the first place? Why cover up your quote unquote undone hair in the first place? Because we all know what undone means to most Black women, right? But why get your hair done if you don't care about what people think? Because people don't get their hair done only to look good for themselves, right? If you don't care what other people say about you or other Black women, then stop complaining about the ways white people misrepresent Black women in the media. Because a lot of y'all are saying, oh, look good for who? Who we looking good for? White people? We trying to look good for white people now? Who are you trying to look good for when you're talking about correcting your image in the media? Is it just you or is it white people or is it other people? You guys, performing for other people is a human condition. It's normal. Wanting validation from other people is a human condition. It's normal. Now, should we go overboard with that? No. We should be self-validating as well. But it's unrealistic to just never care what people think. That's not reality, you guys. You do care what people think. And that's why you don't like when we are being misrepresented in the media. And I think that some Black women think that mainstream media promotion or representation is the only representation that matters. But representation on a micro level, that matters too, especially when our good representation is at a deficit. Ladies, we are in the red. So yeah, I do believe in Black women being individuals and, having autonomy. But if we care about our image the way we say we do, we have to be unanimous on some things. You get what I'm saying? There's no way around it. And I truly think that Black women are shooting ourselves in the foot fighting over this, fighting all over social media for the right to wear our bedclothes in public. Like, this is not the hill you want to die on, especially when we complain how they misrepresent us next to other races of women in the media. Now, next week, if they put us out there looking raggedy with our hair not combed or with a bonnet on next to a white woman who's all dolled up, then we're going to be upset, right? But I thought you didn't care what nobody thinks. And in my old video about this, I talked about how they will purposely put unkempt Black women on the news to embarrass Black women. And even though, Black women wearing bonnets in public isn't the direct cause of that, I'm not blaming you for that. But us arguing to support it perpetuates the problem. Why would you want to add to the problem, ladies? Because that's what you're doing. And even as Black women say, oh, bonnets are fine, we shouldn't be policed for wearing them outside the house. As it's been pointed out by several other Black women, a lot of Black women jumped up to mock Derek Jackson's wife for her appearance in his video about him cheating. So if all of this is true, if you really don't care what nobody thinks and you ain't trying to impress nobody and this is not for the male gaze and all this, if all of that is true, then why was it required for Derek Jackson's wife to wear better clothes? Again, like, you can't have it both ways, Black women. Bonnets are either appropriate depending on the occasion or they're not. You got to pick one. And once again, Black women were saying we're not a monolith, but we're reacting and responding as a monolith about wearing these bonnets. Again, if a Black woman does something you don't like or doesn't follow quote unquote girl code and behave in the way you want them to behave, you're somewhere upset. And look, if you don't care about what anyone thinks, then why are you outraging all over social media when people criticize Black women? Why be mad at Monique's opinion if you don't care what anybody thinks? Just the fact that, you're going so hard to defend this, like, it goes to show you that you really do care. You do care what other people think. And ladies, I know you don't like being policed. I get it. But this is one thing you are not going to convince the world is appealing. Bonnets and pajamas, they will never be considered appropriate outside of the house. So you're essentially fighting to look bad. Yeah, we can talk respectability and how, the concept of looking presentable isn't real. But no matter where it comes from, bonnets aren't considered attractive by mostly everybody, including Black women. Now, with that being said, I actually agree with the people who say, you know, we can't change the women who want to wear bonnets in public. So I think we should just continue to be unapologetic about our position and clearly make the distinction between us and them. We can't change them. That is very true. But they also can't change us either. So I think we should focus our energy on getting our image out there and creating a counter image to what's being defended right now. So ladies, if you care about your image improving, you can't be out there talking about, oh, I don't wear my bonnet, but she can't. Nope, you can't say that. Just be silent. If you care about your image, just be silent. That's code. And to the women who are telling me, oh, Chrissy, but according to you, wouldn't Monique be off code? And yes, look, under normal circumstances, it would be off code to criticize another Black woman's appearance publicly. But when a critical mass of Black women are fighting tooth and nail to wear bedclothes out in public, then yeah, you got to say something, because that's an off-code situation. And this did not start with Monique, y'all. Y'all were defending this when that principal, the Black woman principal, I forget where she's from now, but again, I made a video about it. But y'all were defending this when she enforced that no bonnet, no pajama dress code at her school. These are women who did not have to come in their children's school looking like that, but they did. And she was like, oh no, ma'am, you're not going to do this. But y'all were mad at her for that. Mad at her for wanting those parents to show up presentable at the school and not embarrass their children. So look, I understand code, but y'all can't weaponize the concept of staying on code when you're arguing to look bad in public. That's off code in itself, okay? Off code is being the only group of women trying to argue down wearing pajamas in public. It's just a bad look, ladies. It is. And to me, like I said, a lot of these arguments coming from Black women are very dishonest. I think some of you are pretending not to get it. Monique was very gentle with her words. I believe her when she said it came from a place of love. And I don't agree with everything Monique says or does, but someone can be right about one thing and wrong about another. Just because you agree with one thing a person says doesn't mean you then agree with every single thing that they say. But you can't in one breath complain about the negative imagery we have as Black women, then in another contribute to that. So that's all I have to say about this. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.